Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Work in Blue. I'm your host, Mark Peikert, and today I have the first guest I think who has ever reached out to me. And once I heard his story, I knew exactly why he had reached out to me, because this is exactly what I want Working Blue to be. And in case you are unfamiliar, I very much want Working Blue to be the Drew Barrymore show for porn stars. With me is Drew Barrymore. Enjoy the rain. Am I right? Let's find out all about recent Grammy Award winner, Mr. Blake Houston.
Hi, guys.
Blake Houston. I mean, we talked a little bit, but I was so delighted when I got your DM because it meant that someone's been paying attention.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've only recently started working in adult, and you were. It's like Lana Turner at the Schwab's counter. You were scouted on a gay cruise.
That's right. I was approached on an Atlantis cruise. Yep.
What were you doing when you were approached?
I was on the dance floor, probably sucking dick, but but I was on the dance floor, and I got approached, and yeah, that's it. I didn't go searching for it or whatever. It just happened.
Well, I mean, that's how you know you have innate talent when it is spotted from across a crowded room.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely.
Was there hesitation about doing?
Oh yes, because of my job and my family life. Huge hesitation because I was government military at the time still, and I have kids. It's very rare. So I was like, "Oof." So I told them no a couple of times. It took them a little bit, and I was like, all right, what the hell. So
What finally convinced you?
a few things, like everybody was, the whole group of people that they heard the guy asking, and they're like, do it, show them that people in their 40s can still you know show up and still do stuff that the 20 somethings and 30 somethings are doing, and show them that we're just as good as or even better, so and a few other reasons though. I was like, all right, and then I tried it out. I thought it was going to be a one and done deal. I really thought that was going to be it. I didn't even think beyond that. I just did it, and I went back down to the dance floor and kept on partying. And then I got another call and then another call, and and I was like, okay, I guess this is going to be a thing, and it's 3 years later, still a thing.
What were the conversations like between you and your husband? Because you have how many children? 2 children?
Too, yeah. Hmm. Initially, like on the dance floor, initially, we both had reservations, right? But you know, and we both thought that was just going to be it. It was just going to be that one, no big deal. But then as it started to get progressively more and more, we had to like, okay, well, what is this? What do we do here, right? So we did talk about it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and they're going to grow up anyway eventually. So it's like, you know, uh, um, it's not harming anybody. You know what I mean? It's not hurting people. It's
Yeah.
it's actually, I guess, helping people. People help them get to sleep, get off, get to sleep, right? So it's not like I'm doing something bad. I'm not like so. And it's not all the time. It's maybe once a month I do some event or some shoot or something. So it doesn't really, and the kids and the family stuff come first all the time, obviously. And then that's when I have time and when it works in the schedule, I do it.
So what do you prefer doing more of, the studio stuff or more of the live events?
uh, I think the studio stuff, um, because it's more kind of what I'm used to. There's a structure. There's okay, you got to do this. You got to get tested. Whatever. Whereas the live events, they're structured, but you never know what's going to happen before, after schedules change, partner scenes change, last minute, everything. So. So that, but it's also fun at the same time. And so I like the live shows too, but I prefer more of the studio stuff because I know when it's going to be. I fly in, I do my thing, I fly home. Whereas like if it's a live thing, I still know when it's going to be, but then you're like, okay, are they going to change it? Are they going to change the time? They're going to change the scene part. It's like you're a little bit more stressed, I guess, because you want to perform, you want to make sure you're good, and so it's a little bit, I guess, more stress, I guess, but it's still fun.
Well, I finally found something more terrifying than improv, which is sex at a live event, which is basically improv but naked.
Well, yeah. So I did one live event where they had the schedule out for a good few weeks, and you knew who was what, and you knew what was going on, and then literally the last 5 minutes they changed everything, and so I had to meet the new scene partners. We had 5 minutes to like meet, like, okay, who's going to top, who's going to bottom, who, like, blah, 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 how, what position, 5 minutes. And I just kind of took control that time. I was like, all right, just follow my lead, guys, and we did a great job. But 5 minutes, we had 5 minutes, so yeah.
The groundlings could never.
Yeah. I still had fun. It was great. Yeah.
So what keeps you doing it? What keeps you working in adult when you have so many other things going on in your life?
Well, one, it's fun. It's fun. I get to meet new people and friends, and I like that aspect. I get to meet all these people, and I have really, they're porn stars, porn guys. They are people. They're individuals, right? So I love listening to like what they really do. Like, oh, you're in school for this. You do, like nobody see, they just think we're, these dumb guys that are, whatever. But it's not the case. Everybody's got their own stuff going on, and they're, so I like that aspect of like finding that out and learning, and then making friends along the way, obviously. um I still do it to kind of like a little bit, I'm still kind of in it just to like, I'm usually the oldest one on set, usually for the most part. And to just like go out there, just like blow it away, be like, yeah, the 42-year-old just blew out, made, just did way better than, the 28-year-old, what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. So it's, and I like the, the, the conversations that you have backstage or offset, and it's great. It's good. It's good. And then also I get to, since I'm like the older one, like a lot of the younger guys that I've met, they'll ask questions about anything from finances to relationship stuff to, because I've been with my partner 17 years, right? So it's a long
Oh,
time.
wow.
Yeah. So it's all that stuff that happens. So it's like a little, you kind of create your own little like friend group, little bubble, not a bubble, but like, so yeah. And it's a little subset of like my normal life, right? So like I have my other friends, and then if I go to a circuit event or something, there's always like, oh, okay, there they are. Hey, so yeah.
Were you a porn fan before all of this?
To be honest, no. I my husband watched porn more than I did. I wasn't really. I was more of a. I'm gonna date myself. I was more of a manhunt, find somebody, hook up, and get it done and go to bed kind of deal. um, so I really didn't know. I knew like of one person, and I actually got to meet him once, and that's kind of a funny story. But so I really didn't know like the names of people, and people are like, oh, you do know so and so. I had no idea, right? Yeah, I didn't know who they were. They're like, oh, you're gonna work with so and so. I'm like, I guess, I don't know. And they're like, so I know, but now I know, right? But yeah, I had no idea.
So who was the one that you met that you knew?
Topher DiMaggio was the only person that I would randomly look up when I was younger, and then I got to meet him once through my friend of mine, in LA, and we kind of hung out or whatever. But my ex at the time, he gave me like edibles or something or whatever, and I've never really done it. And I was just so I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, nothing. So that he was like right there, and I couldn't even really have a conversation. I was like, oh my god. But then I, we did go like hiking through in LA, up to the Hollywood sign, whatever. So we did have, I got to, you know have a conversation with him, and this was great. Again, when you meet the real person, it's amazing, like what they, what's actually, how they're articulate and smart and funny, and it's, what I mean, like, yeah. So yeah.
Do you get recognized often 3 years in?
In the beginning, I wasn't, and I didn't think I would. But it actually started about 2 years ago, maybe, and I'm like, okay, cool, no big deal. Like maybe not very rarely, but now lately it's been a lot lately, which is kind of cool, I guess. Um, especially Miami stuff. In Miami, everybody's like, oh, hey, I'm here in Austin. I can't go out with at least 2 or 3 people wanting a picture when we go out to the bars and stuff like that, which is cool. Or I'll get hit up on like yesterday, I just got a message on Scruff. I turned it on where I was working, and it was like, oh, celebrity alert, whatever. It's 0.5 miles away. I'm like, okay, whatever, so, and it's usually the younger guys, which is weird. I don't consider myself a daddy, because I don't feel old, right? I don't feel, everybody feels young, right?
Yeah.
But to them, I'm a daddy, right? So like, most of the people, they're like in their 20s that are coming up to me, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, okay, cool, all right. So, and at circuit events, at parties, people know kind of who I am, but I'm not like huge, like I'm not like an Austin Wolf or anything, like, but it's cool, especially like, the only thing is like when I'm with my friends, sometimes it's like, okay, I just want to be like, there was a time that we were at the Palace in Miami, and me and a couple of friends were eating, and this one dude came over, very drunk, and he was like, "Hey, Blake, can I get a picture?" Sure. And then he just like sat down, and then he talked and whatever. And I went, but then he just never like left the table. He just kind of stayed, and it was like, okay. So I'm texting my friends. I'm like, so what do I do? I was like, I don't want to be this mean, the mean guy, And they're like, no, no, no. So we just let him sit there the whole time, whatever. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you choose your porn name?
I didn't. Actually, I don't know if you know. So the owner of Hustleball did. Fabrice. His name's Fabrice. So I was randomly doing a Hustleball or something in San Francisco with him. I don't remember. And we were in the green room, and the director, the Treasure Island director, just called me. I was like, we need a name because your scene's coming out, and I didn't have a name yet. And I was like, I need a freaking name. And I was thinking about it, and he just walked. He's like, Blake Houston. And I'm like, okay. So that was it.
I like that right now in the adult world, there is a Blake Houston and there's a Blaze Austin.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just really representing the great state of Texas.
Yeah, and I'm not from Texas. Actually, how I first pronounced it, because I'm from New York City, is I said Blake Houston. But then everybody was Houston. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to lose that battle. So yeah.
Yeah, you have to really pick and choose your battles, especially when it comes to porn names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was like, okay.
Have you been recognized by people in your real life from your adult work?
One or two, but not like in a negative way though.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they'll be like, oh, I kind of know who you are, and I'm like, okay, that's good. And that was, that's it. Yeah.
Every now and then I'll get on like a Chatterbait or a Cam4, and once in a blue moon I'll have a guy pop in who says, "Oh, I love your YouTube series." I'm like, "Thank you. Please tip and like and subscribe."
Yeah. Go to my Twitter, just for fans. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've talked a lot about doing circuit parties. When did you get on the circuit scene?
Ooh, fairly. So for a very long time, like I said, I was military, so I didn't do anything. No drug, nothing. I was very clean, but no, nothing. Absolutely, I didn't go to parties. I was very conservative. Just very, military type, whatever. I didn't party. Occasionally went to a bar with friends and stuff like that, but whatever. It was really my husband who was like, "Hey, we should do this Atlantis cruise," and I looked at the website when it was, and I was like, oh no, that's not for me. I was like, look at all those hot guys. I'm like, I'm not hot. It's not happening. It's not going. Yeah, everybody, And then he finally was like, no, let's do it. So we did it, and we went on a cruise first. That was the first kind of taste of a circuit anything. And I had no clue what to expect. I get on the ship, and the first party we go to, I'm like, everybody's in there like underwear and jock straps. Like I felt like I was like, oh, we're definitely in the wrong spot. I didn't, because we had like board shorts on and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Totally not. And then they had this circuit music I never really heard of. I'm like, what is this music? It made no sense to me. I'm like, it's the same. It's like pots and pans crap. I was like, where's the words? I don't know. I never got it. So the first experience was just very eye-opening for me, right? So the first cruise was really, but I've been on 15 cruises now, so obviously I like it. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what do you do on a cruise when you're not dancing your ass off?
We are either on excursions, wherever we are, whatever port, eating at the buffet, or at an orgy.
I never do excursions because that's when everyone gets off the boat and I can just sit alone at the pool and read my book.
I go to the pool more than my husband. My husband's he'll burn quick, right? He's very white, so so he stays usually away from the pool. I mean, he'll go to the pool when it's like evening time, like when the sun's not, and so I'm usually more of a hot tub pool guy. So I will go during the day and just chill, and I like that because you get to actually talk to people instead of just all the other stuff. Yeah. So.
Are you a Speedo guy or are you still board shorts?
I am now not the Speedos, but the
like the trunks,
the square cut one. Yeah. I don't really. I have a couple of Speedos, but I don't know. I just don't like. They're too. I need more space. Yeah.
I mean, you might need more space. We probably need you to have less space. Just put everything on display for us, please.
It usually is. It usually is. Yeah.
So when did you kind of move away from your military?
Well, I did 20 years total between Army, DOD, and other government stuff. And so now I'm in a different, I still kind of work with government, just in a different capacity now. Yeah. So I just do consulting right now.
Yeah. And then every now and then you'll get the call on your bat phone.
Yeah. Then every now and then I get, I just did a couple, and then I'm doing a couple weeks. Yeah, so it's fun. It's good, and it also gets me out of the house.
Do you do much fan platform content?
I mean, I have a Just for Fans, and a Twitter and stuff like that. But I can't. I don't have time to be on the do something every day. I just can't. Like I see all my friends that just do something every day, and then they have like, oh, watch me make cereal or whatever. I can't. With the kid, everything working, I just can't do. So when I do have time to film something, like if a random dude comes over, another guy, or like I'm going to be I'm going to Dory next week or a week after, so I'm going to be filming there. So I'll put some content on Just the Fans after Dory. But like if it's just a random whatever, I just don't have time for all that stuff. But I still do pretty good. I have pretty good, I have a pretty good number of subscribers.
Yeah.
So and I don't edit it. It's very real. So it is what it is, yeah.
Well, we're happy with whatever you provide us with.
Yeah, I mean, I get good feedback. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that really struck me when we spoke before we set this up is you are in a long-term committed relationship and you have 2 children and you are in your 40s and you have found a way to create the life that you want for yourself without being defined by any of those things.
Yeah. So, in the beginning, I grew up very, very Catholic, very, so when I grew up, and I came up pretty late, because in my head I was like, that's wrong. You shouldn't have those thoughts, and then, so it's just different growing up like that because you think you're wrong, you think you're broken, right? You know what I mean? And then you try to be straight, and you're like, well, that's not working. Why am I not that? You just think you're you're wrong, you're broke, whatever. And then after my second deployment, where I got injured, like really, a lot, and I almost died, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this urge, and let's see how this works out. And I did, and I was like, okay, well, I like the dick. Okay, so that was interesting, right? So it just, and the first time I did that was like, I think I was like 24, 25, but I didn't really come out till I was like 30. And then I really didn't start to do like my sexual exploration of myself, like who am I as a gay man, until I was like in my mid 30s, like late 30s. So like this is still kind of, new, like, relatively new compared to like the newer generation. They come out at 15, have a big huge party at home, and then, by the time they're 20, they're getting fisted. And it's like, okay, but that's not for, for us, for our, it's very different, so circuit events were new, drugs were, the whole, not that I'm condoning it, but whatever. Uh, all of this was new, right? To an older in your 30s, you should already know this, right? But I didn't. And the same thing with like emotions, like how to deal with emotions, because when you're growing up, you're supposed to date in your teens, and you learn as you're growing up in your teenage years and in your 20s, because you're dating. Okay, this is how relationships go. You fall in love, you break up. This is how you deal with a breakup. Blah 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 blah. Right? But because my generation really didn't do any of that, because we pretended, and we really didn't have emotional attachments to people, right? Or we didn't go through breakups because when we left the girls, we didn't give a shit. We are like, whatever, bye. So then now you get in your 30s, and you finally come out, and you think you got your shit together, you got your career, you got, everything's good, and then all of a sudden emotions come into play that you don't know, you've never felt before, you don't know how to deal with them, right? And I think that's a big thing in our community, is a lot of, and then there's a lot of drug, Molly included, so that's just, I think our generation really didn't get a chance to learn how to deal with their baggage and emotions. And so now, later in life, we are very immature emotionally on how to deal with, right? So I see that a lot, and I had to go through it too in my late 30s, like, because I fell in love with somebody, blah 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 blah. Then we broke up. I didn't know how to deal with it, whatever. But I had to learn, right? And so now I get it. But like, um, but it's kind of sad that our generation didn't get to have that, And I'm really glad to see the newer generation having that, because I think gays in the future are going to be more emotionally stable, definitely more, you know, um, you know, I mean, we are already a pretty cool community, but I think it's going to be even better now, because they're going to be more emotionally stable. Mental health is going to be better for them. You know, we who we talk to ourselves, right? Like we would just, and then if you go to, you go into Sears or Macy's, and you go to the underwear rack, and you would be like, oh, look at, and you're like, oh my God, it's wrong, because we didn't have anybody to talk to. We didn't have any role models. We didn't have Twitter, YouTube. We didn't have Google, all this stuff. Now I love that there's all these gay characters on TV, and all
Yeah.
these people that these kids and younger, they can, and then talk to too. Because I get texts from younger gays all the time, like asking a bunch of questions, like relationship questions, kids, like, oh, we want to have kids. How'd you do it? Stuff like that. And it's great to hear, that they're actually reaching out. That's great. Because like, I was scared shit. I didn't reach out to anybody. I just kept it in, So yeah.
I just prayed to Judy Garland every night.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for the younger generation, because they will never know the seismic shock of seeing those Mark Wahlberg Calvin Klein ads for the first time.
Yes, that's true.
Of that era where like everyone's wearing, it's like what's his name? The jockey guy, the baseball player, Jim Palmer. The Jim Palmer jockey
Okay.
ads.
Yeah.
In the teeny tiny briefs and like hairy dad bod.
Mm-hmm.
And to go from that to like Mark Wahlberg grabbing his junk, sneering at you, like, here I am. This is my sexuality.
Yeah. And I would be watching, shows and movies when I was a kid, and I like the Batman with Robin, the original Robin Batman one, right? And I would be looking at Robin. I'm like, why do I find this? Why am I getting like a rat? Like, was just, and you just felt wrong, right? But now I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, now I know myself. I know what I want, know who I am, which is great. And I feel so much better. But, you know, I wish I could have felt that back then. It would have been, you know.
Well, you should absolutely read Burt Ward's memoir. He's the actor who played Robin. It is basically a memoir of his sexual escapades during the shooting of that show,
Okay.
and basically how big his dick is, and how many women he was fucking, and where, and how often, and in front of Adam West. So, highly recommend.
Okay.
And otherwise, guys, if you have questions, reach out to Blake Houston or even Blake Houston, because he's got the answers, guys.
I guess, yeah.
Blake, I'm so excited that we were able to do this, even in the middle of a heat wave.
Yes, it's 107 today here in Austin. Yeah.
Yeah, so please enjoy that.
No.
To paraphrase at least Elliot from the First Wives Club, I love the heat, sweats out all the booze.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you, Blake, for joining me today. Thank all of you for watching. Tune in next week for another episode of Working Blue.